vast Atlantic Ocean is set to finally come home today. I'm just trying to imagine saying, like, Atlantic Ocean, come here.
Maybe that added to the confusion. And finally, the ugly. The wheels were not turning in this guy's head. The mispronunciation of one word costing a man $7,100 Wheel of Fortune jackpot.
Flamingo dance lessons.
Sorry. Explain. Ashley, it's your turn.
I'll solve.
Yeah.
Flamenco dance lessons.
Yeah, that's it.
Instead of saying flamenco, the contestant went with the bird flamingo. Just to review, now that we're on camera, instead of flamenco, they went with bird flamingo. Fox and Friends.
Bye.
Federal agents raided the home and office of President Trump's personal attorney.
It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense.
This for Hillary Clinton, and they went into her lawyer's office. The ACLU would be on every television station in America, jumping up and down.
President Trump promising to make a major decision on Syria.
It will be met, and it will be met forcefully.
This is the beginning in this sector of the president's border wall. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this wall is going to reduce illegal entries.
Former Attorney General Loretta Lynch is speaking out about her infamous tarmac meeting.
Did you have any moment where you said, Mr. President, this is probably not appropriate?
It seemed like we were going to say hello, hi, how are you, and move on. And then the conversation would continue.
One of the first missions the National Guard has flown within seconds. We were in hot pursuit.
It looks like there's crossing now.
Yep, that's it. Right now, it's just it's a hunt. They can get under rocks, trees, and they'll wait it out for hours.
We stayed up all night long, made our drinks too strong, feeling 10 feet tall, rope swinging through the water in the middle of the night like whoa.
That song is a lie, because if you make your drinks too strong, you can't stay awake.
Yeah, but you talk about it the next morning. How about right now when it's time to get up and get the day going? Hey, everybody, welcome to Tuesday. It's Fox and Friends live from New York.
So, as usual, the news is coming at a breakneck pace. Yesterday's probably a rival like any day over the past maybe 10 years. You had a raid at the president's attorney's office. In fact, 4 separate locations yesterday, all of which a so-called no-knock raid conducted by the FBI, commissioned by Robert Mueller, to get to the documents that many people thought violated attorney-client privilege. And add to that, this was a cooperating Michael Cohen who had his attorney answering every question that Mueller wanted, providing the documents that they needed, and all the cooperation got them was a huge breach.
Yeah.
Right.
So, according to the New York Times, it looks like the investigation is into bank fraud. And the probe was not by the special counsel per se, but Robert Mueller signed off on it because instead the FBI was raiding his office, Mr. Cohen's office, which, by the way, is across the street at 30 Rock on the 27th floor, on behalf of the New York's U.S. Attorney Public Corruption Unit. And apparently, if you read the warrant, documents identified in the warrant date back years, long before a campaign, although Mr. Mueller's team has been asking witnesses in the last couple of months about Mr. Cohen's role in the campaign. And in particular, they are focusing in the questioning, early months of the campaign and the attempt to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, and what was Mr. Cohen's involvement.
Well, he denies, he does admit that he paid Stormy Daniels the $130,000. He denies, though, that he violated campaign finance laws. You have to also keep in mind that Jeff Sessions recused himself, and that left Mueller in charge, or Mueller's BFF in charge, Rod Rosenstein. And you have to also remember that Mueller's team consists of most of the 17 confirmed attorneys on his team are registered Democrats or have made Democratic political donations. The president was talking about it yesterday, says this is a disgrace. Listen.
I have this witch hunt constantly going on for over 12 months now, and actually much more than that. You could say it was right after I won the nomination it started. And it's a disgrace. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for. This is the most biased group of people. These people have the biggest conflicts of interest I've ever seen. Democrats, all, just about all. They're not looking at the Hillary Clinton horrible things that she did and all of the crimes that were committed. I've been president now for what seems like a lengthy period of time. We've done a fantastic job. We've beaten ISIS. Our economy is incredible. We've had that hanging over us now from the very, very beginning.
So they took, they look at campaign violence, finance violations. They took the records as it relates to Stormy Daniels. They're all gone. They took his computer. They're all out. And his attorney is coming forward. And the question is, what precipitated this? What did they find that made them move so quickly on Michael Cohen? I mean, I've read the book by Michael Isikoff with Russian Roulette. And Michael Cohen is somebody that would set up business interests or look into projects for the President of the United States. And they were, for a while, looking into building a tower in Moscow. That's not a secret. How it relates to all this, that's what I think Mueller's trying to find out. Alan Dershowitz was on last night and has been outraged by this whole thing. Keep in mind, yeah, he's a Democrat. He says, if they were doing this to Hillary Clinton, I feel just as outraged.
Look, this is a very dangerous day today for lawyer-client relations. I deal with clients all the time. I tell them on my word of honor that what you tell me is sacrosanct. And now they say, just based on probable cause, even though this was cooperation with Cohen, they can burst into the office, grab all the computers, and then give it to another FBI agent and say, you're the firewall. We want you now to read all these confidential communications. If this were Hillary Clinton being investigated and they went into her lawyer's office, the ACLU would be on every television station in America jumping up and down. The deafening silence of the ACLU and civil libertarians about the intrusion into the lawyer-client confidentiality is really appalling.
See, and that is such a good point. And he was talking about agents being the firewall. That's the so-called taint team. Right. Keep in mind, the U.S. Attorney got all this stuff from New York, and they've got it right here. They've got to make sure they don't violate client privilege. Client attorney privilege, exactly right. And so they got these FBI agents looking at it and they're saying, okay, you can read that and you can read that. We're going to talk to the judge about that. But it is unclear at this point what Robert Mueller saw during his investigation that he would then say to the U.S. Attorney in New York, hey, you need to look into this stuff with Michael Cohen. We don't know. We know that they took the Stormy Daniels stuff. We know that they took the real estate stuff, email, things like that. But the nature of it, what they were looking for specifically, at this point, it is not public knowledge.
Are they trying to intimidate the president to speak? Is this a message
well,
to...
that backfired if they did.
If Ty Cobb, who says, I'm cooperating every step of the way, I'm so proud of myself for cooperating, where has that got him? Well, Michael Cohen is doing what I think is the right thing, cooperating. Where did that get him? That changed, this has changed the tone entirely.
A source at the White House told John Roberts that they're just trying, that Mueller's team is just trying to take down the president. A lot of Republicans feel that way. They say it's a double standard because where were these raids when Hillary Clinton was whitewashing, deleting 30,000 or the FISA abuse?
It is unclear if they are looking for client files or business records. But nonetheless, right now, they've got them all.
Meanwhile, the President of the United States yesterday had his hands full. Not only did he speak openly about his real reservations about these raids and the investigation that's never ending, but he also is saying, listen, we're going to be reacting to that horrible gas attack that the Syrian government, led by Bashar Assad, did on that town, which cost the lives of at least 40 people, many women and children.
And apparently it was those images of the children that really impacted the President of the United States. And he's been in contact now with our UK and our French allies, and it looks as if there could be a coordinated strike against Assad and the Syrian regime promptly, perhaps as early as today.
The President said within 24 to 48 hours.
These are the pictures.
That's right. So hard to look at.
It is.
The President said it happened between 24 and 48 hours. He said it could have happened last night. It didn't happen, obviously, last night, so it could happen during our show. We'll continue to follow that story. This is what the President also said yesterday on Syria.
We're the greatest fighting force anywhere in the world. And we're making a decision as to what we do with respect to the horrible attack that was made near Damascus. It will be met, and it will be met forcefully. And when, I will not say, because I don't like talking about timing. We can't let atrocities like we all witnessed. We can't let that happen. In our world, we can't let that happen. Especially when we're able to, because of the power of the United States, because of the power of our country, we're able to stop it.
By the way, there's been 8 gas attacks since the 57 Tomahawks in the area. This is brazen. The Russians deny it. They say we made up the entire incident again. The Russians, I mean, I don't even know. The Russian people are too smart to buy this, you would think. But who are they? Those are child actors sitting there in that area? Is that what they're claiming?
You know, we've heard from the administration, the Pentagon, you know, reporters have said, so what's the proof that the Russians actually did it, or the Syrians actually did it? They said it has the hallmarks of previous gas attacks.
And by the way, they have cameras everywhere. They got satellite images everywhere. General Mattis is reviewing all of it. They're going to see it, and they'll back it up.
You have dictators that control the media, too, so I'm sure the Russian people don't even know about these attacks.
So
They're
anyway,
saying it's fake.
A very busy day. Also, they started construction on the president's wall down
in
near
El Paso.
We're going to give you details on that in a little while. Also, Dr. Sebastian Gorka is going to be live with Brian in an interview from Los Angeles coming up in about 3 minutes, right after the news.
You know, I talked to Jillian earlier during the promo. She insisted on being on the show today.
I did.
Right.
Very demanding.
I think it's a good
High
move.
demands from this one over here.
And we like to meet your demands.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so.
All right, let's get you caught up on some breaking news. This is breaking right now on trade tensions between the U.S. and China. China just filing a complaint with the World Trade Organization against the U.S. over steel and aluminum tariffs, claiming they breach international trade rules. This comes after President Xi Jinping promised to lower tariffs on auto imports. That promise addresses one of President Trump's concerns. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg begins 2 days of testimony on Capitol Hill today. He's expected to apologize for his company's role in the Cambridge Analytica scandal and foreign interference in the 2016 elections. During Senate testimony today, he met privately with committee leaders yesterday. In prepared remarks, Zuckerberg says, quote, "It was my mistake and I'm sorry. I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here." Breaking overnight, 6 people are dead after a plane bursts into flames and crashes on a popular golf course in Arizona. Just look at the pictures here. The small plane going down shortly after takeoff, plunging onto TPC Scottsdale Golf Course. Nobody on the ground was hit. No word on what caused the crash. The NTSB is currently investigating. 2 female lawmakers making history in the Senate. First, Illinois Democrat Tammy Duckworth becoming the first sitting senator to have a baby in office. The 50-year-old giving birth to her second daughter, Miley Pearl, on Monday. And Republican Cindy Hyde-Smith is now Mississippi's first female senator. Vice President Pence swearing her in to finish out Thad Cochran's term, who stepped down for health reasons. Big moves for both.
Indeed. All right. Thank you very much, Jillian.
Thank you, Jillian.
All right. Coming up on this Tuesday, the National Guard securing our southern border right now, and we're getting an exclusive look at our troops in action.
Looks like there's crossing now. Wow. So they just brought whatever they brought over. Now they're going back to get more.
Griff Jenkins, our correspondent, has embedded with the National Guard. He takes us along for a ride along high above the border.
Yeah, we don't need a wall.
But we need those ladies. We have been telling you about them. Facebook labeling Diamond and Silk unsafe. But this morning, an update. We think you're going to like it. Like it. Like it.
Diamond and Silk are truth tellers. That's what we do. This is defamation of our characters. What is so unsafe about us telling the truth? That's right.
All right, President Trump vowing a forceful response to Syria's alleged chemical attack, and his next move could come any moment. Could happen today during our show. Fox News national security strategist, former deputy assistant to President Trump, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, is here live in Los Angeles to weigh in. Dr. Gorka, you saw the president yesterday. You saw the images Saturday. Where are we heading with this?
Well, good morning, Brian. As I wrote in The Hill yesterday morning, expect 2 things to happen, or things to happen on 2 planes right now. Number one, imminently, probably today, there's going to be some very overt response, a very full-throated response that sends a clear message to Assad and to his sponsors. This isn't just about Damascus, it's about Putin in Moscow, it's about Iran and even China, that we will not countenance the use of chemical weapons like this, especially against women and children. So that's what you're going to see on the surface. Behind the scenes, happening already, there's going to be lots of unconventional, covert means in the cyber domain and elsewhere to put the pressure on the regime. It's not about regime change. The president is not interested in regime change. It's about sending a message and hurting the elite that is being so evil in that country.
Right, and when you have 500 people rushed to the hospital, 40 people killed, many of which are children who have their lungs burned out and foaming at the mouth as they die this horrible death, and you know this is the 8th attack since the Tomahawk missiles.
Yes.
What do you think is going to be different about this attack and then the aftermath?
I think what's going to be different is how visible the president's response is going to be. Look, we cannot allow this taboo to be persistently broken. The president is not an interventionist, but it is in all civilized nations' interest to make sure that these weapons are not used. They've been illegal for almost a century, and these taboos cannot be broken without consequences being paid.
But there is. The Russians are using nerve gas, and the UK trying to kill their former spies.
Yes.
And they use this the 8th time, as I mentioned. So do you look for them to now take out every military base in Syria? I mean, literally destroy every military base and make sure that there is no such thing as landing strips there? Do you say take a shot at Assad and his family if we know where they are?
Well, look, we have legislation on the books that does not permit a president to assassinate another head of state. We've had that on books since the 1970s. So I don't think it's about that, because we're not about regime change. But Brian, I'll tell you one thing. In the White House, I said it, and I'm going to say it again now. We don't telegraph what we're going to do. The president, we have the most powerful nation the world has ever seen.
Yeah, we did. We said we're going to hit him within 24 hours.
Right, but we're not going to tell them what we're going to do, right? Because that's how they prepare against you. Clinton did it in Bosnia. He said, I'm not going to use ground troops. It was insane. Milosevic exploited that against us. Obama did it as well, saying, well, we're not going to invade now. We're going to invade in June. You don't do that in a chess game, Brian. You don't do it in warfare or in international relations. It's bad strategy.
Russians denied there was even a chemical attacks. They say we made it up. Doctors, Doctors
unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable. And also, I'm pretty annoyed with those people who have these strange theories about false flags and crisis actors. That they should be ashamed of themselves, anybody who spreads that kind of rumor.
You got it. Dr. Gorka, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, 10 minutes before the bottom of the hour. It's the hit Netflix series about the battle against drug cartels in the 1980s.
I'm Steve Murphy, drug enforcement agent. We were seizing 60 kilos of coke a day.
The real-life DEA agents who inspired Narcos, saying they're seeing the same thing today at our border. They join us live. Plus, Gary Gatlin calls Johnny Cash his mentor and friend. Now a new book is shedding a different light on the man in black. Larry's here to talk about it. That's the book.
That you've ever had. You're the best friend that you've ever had.
It's taking center stage in the Netflix series called Narcos. Watch.
I'm Steve Murphy, drug enforcement agent. In '79, the bad guys I was chasing wore flip-flops.
Are you ready, huh? What you got? What is that?
When I started, a 1 kilo grass bust was cause for celebration. Before long, we were seizing 60 kilos of coke a day.
Well, now the men who inspired the hit TV series Narcos say they're seeing a connection between the actions of Pablo Escobar back in the day in the 1980s to MS-13 and the opioid crisis. Now, they're warning Congress of this very issue when they take the stage tomorrow on Capitol Hill. And today, that is to say, at 10 a.m.
Yeah, joining us now are those former DEA special agents. You have Agent Javier Pena on the left and Steve Murphy on the right. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So the show is such a hit. Congratulations on all of your success and keeping drugs out of our country. Pablo Escobar, how did you guys take him down? What was that day like for you?
Well, you know what? Chasing Pablo Escobar, he was like I said, he was responsible for 80% of the cocaine coming into the United States. Wow. But then the violence that he had, like I said, he's responsible for the deaths of between 10 and 15,000 innocent people. He did not stop whoever got in his way, he killed.
That's right, and that was back in the day. And Steve, now these guys are much more advanced, and it's not even, in some cases, real drugs they're doing. They're shipping into this country counterfeit or fake drugs, fake fentanyl that is so super toxic.
That's absolutely correct. And if you look at the history of narcotics, it seems like once we get a really bad narcotic, whether it was methamphetamine at the time, there's always something else that comes along the way. And the latest trend is fentanyl. It's horrible. And there's an issue that most Americans aren't aware of, and that's counterfeit medicines that include fentanyl in their makeup. Extremely dangerous.
Javier, I know you're going to Congress today to talk about the opioid problem. What do you expect? What are you planning on saying? And what do we need to know?
Well, we're just trying to tell people out there that we need to get ahead of this problem. I think people are realizing that it is a danger. However, it's got to be a cooperative effort between a lot of different people, the pharmaceuticals, the doctors, law enforcement, private industry, educators, family. And like you said, we need to get ahead of this, because if not, we're seeing the problems right now.
Sure. And Steve, while people say, look, we need the wall on the southern border to stop the flow of drugs and all sorts of problems, at the same time, there is an open secret in Washington, D.C., and that is how easily these drug peddlers use the U.S. Postal Service.
Unfortunately, that's true because of the lack of regulation. Now, we have regulation on companies like UPS and FedEx, but we don't impose those same regulations on the U.S. Postal Service. And it's just an open doorway to bring anything you want into the United States, and that's what we're seeing on a daily basis.
Why is it that the Postal Service has that special exemption? Friends in high places?
I wouldn't say that. It's I honestly don't know. I don't know that they're receiving special treatment. I think it's more a matter of that it just has not been addressed. It hasn't been a public issue until now.
I know you guys were embedded down in Bogota searching for a lot of these criminals. I can't imagine what that's like. I'm sure you were terrified many times for your life and leaving your families and going to do that to make our country safer. We appreciate that. What did you learn then that we can carry into our lives today?
Well, and if you look at the history of the cartels, what happens? We took down the Medellin cartel, what happened? Cali cartel took it over, took down Cali cartel. There's always going to be people that are ready to step in when somebody gets taken off. Look at the Mexico situation, the MS-13, the Sinaloa cartel. So, you know, as long as they can make money, they do not care. And a lot of this, like I said, the counterfeit prescription pills are killing people coming in from Canada, from Mexico. So it is a problem. And like I said, as long as they make money, they do not care who dies.
They're making a lot of it.
No kidding.
Yes.
All right, Javier Pena and Steve Murphy, the DEA agents who took down Pablo Escobar and inspired the TV show Narcos. Guys, thank you very much for joining us early before your appearance on Capitol Hill today.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great. All right, 6:30 now here in New York City. The Life and Times of a Suspected Cop Killer, a magazine highlighting the life of the man police say killed a Chicago police superintendent. The outrage growing this morning.
Plus, our good friend Larry Gatlin is here, and you know, anything can happen.
What kind of guitar is that?
I'll tell you. What is that? Let's hear it.
Somebody else's name.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Larry Gatlin.
A young man waved a battle flag from the walls of the Alamo. Sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
A lot of good voters are gonna start shopping if y'all don't cut out the bovine droppings.
You bought me a jacket?
No, I got you a jacket.
You're kidding me.
There's a difference.
Because
here's the bill. I took a lot of drugs in the 80s. Hey, I'm the one in charge of making sure all the rest of y'all act right. What he did, he let his alligator mouth overload his hummingbird rear end. And this is a mixture of some stuff and some other stuff.
Larry
Wow,
Gatlin.
that's
the best I could do on short notice.
Wow, that is a lot of appearances on
stuff and
Boxing
stuff.
Friends.
That is.
And we finally got you wear a tie after all these appearances.
Well, you know, today we're talking about Johnny Cash, so I thought I'm the man in black, and he used to kind of wear, this is what I call, it's just an old cowboy wild rag, and you just tie it like a tie, and all right, this is for Johnny Cash.
Now, let me ask something. We all know what he was like. We saw the movie, but we don't know him. You knew him.
He's like a big brother to you, right?
What did you try to bring across?
He was like, you know, I'm the eldest and cutest Gatlin brother, mom's baby. He was like a big brother to me. 41 years ago, I crawled out of a delivery room and rang 824-6565, and I said, John, it's the Pilgrim, and I wanted you to know that Joshua Cash Gatlin just discovered America. It's my son. He hollers out, June Love, it's the Pilgrim on the phone. And he says, Joshua Cash Gatlin just discovered America. Ain't that wonderful, June Love? And 2 hours later, he brought a gift for my son, Joshua Cash Gatlin. And 3 months ago in Dubai, where my son and his wife, Tracy, live, she had a little boy, and his name is Cash Caldwell Gatlin.
Look at that.
Wow.
The Cash family, they kept us from starving to death. He championed my cause.
Right.
Put me on shows when nobody knew who I was.
And you wrote the foreword to the new book called The Man in Song, a biography of Johnny Cash by John M. Alexander, who is a friend of yours. How did you meet Johnny Cash?
I was a janitor at WLAC TV in Nashville, where they used to make the hee-haw shows. And I got fired on Friday. Sunday morning, I sang a song, Help Me, Lord Help Me What? And John and June were in church. I was putting up my guitar over in the pastor's study. The door opened, and the light was blocked out. And the door had not closed. It was Johnny Cash coming in, and I had my back to him. And I turned around, he said, hello, son, I'm Johnny Cash. Like I, you know, wouldn't. He said, I love that Help Me song, and so we're making a movie about Jesus, and we're going to write some music for it tomorrow over at CBS Studio. Would you come help us?
Look at that.
And that's how it happened. June had written my name down on the back of a blank check, and she and Chris Christopherson had been taught. Chris, I think, I've told people this before, I think Chris Christopherson is the greatest wordsmith since William Shakespeare.
He's something.
Okay? Chris said about John at Johnny's funeral, he said, well, said Johnny Cash was kind of an Abraham Lincoln with a wild side, as only Chris could say it. He was an incredible man, funny, flawed like we all are, but the most giving, loving.
You named your son after him. Larry, what do you have behind you?
Oh, okay. I got tired of carrying 2 guitars. So I had the Boulder Creek Guitar Company. Kevin Corcoran made me a double neck guitar.
Okay.
Do you love it?
I've never heard of this.
I know. There are only 3 of them in the world, so.
On that side, you've got
Johnny.
That's Johnny.
Right.
And that's June right there.
Well, I tell you what, while you've got the guitar right there, could you play Happy Birthday? Because we got right over here Billy Dean, your pal.
Lord, Billy. Well, let's get in my key.
Happy birthday to you. That's right, he's a tenor. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gary. Happy birthday to you. Yo, man, you.
Y'all didn't know I wrote Happy Birthday.
Steve-O, how you doing, man?
Hello, Billy boy.
How are you? I'm good, pal. Good to see you.
Birthday.
Well, look at that.
Well, y'all are a couple weeks early, but hey, at 69, do it now. I may not make it.
That's what I was thinking.
While you were in New York, we wanted to celebrate because we know you're about to turn 70. When's the actual day?
May the 2nd.
Okay.
So we still have time to shop.
Yes, you do. Only
Billy's off the
14
hook.
more shopping days till my birthday. And my wife's birthday is April 17th. Joshua Cash Gatlin is May 30th. But my father, if good old boy makes it till May the 14th, 91-year-old Marine Daddy, Semper Fi Pop.
There you go. Billy, tell us one thing. He's got a million stories. Tell us one story about your friend.
Well, let's see. First of all, he does the best Mel Tillis impersonation that's ever been done in the history of country music.
Listen, Hoss.
Hold on.
I would have recorded a Detroit City instead of giving it to Tom Jones, but it had a talking part in the middle. It took a record this big. Miss Melvin, he was a wonderful songwriter, great friend.
Love to hear him sing, but to me, my favorite things are the stories behind the songs. That generation of country music singers, they were giants to guys like us, and they still are today. So the fact that he's keeping the tradition going is really important to my generation.
True.
Well,
the names have been changed to protect the guilty.
It looks like you'll have a lot of fun together.
Oh, how cool is it? You were the janitor at Hee Haw.
Well, I was, and at the break one time, at a lunch break, I'm sounding like some of his guys, Fluke Holland, the drummer, and Bob Wooten and Marshall Grant, they were sitting, they were doing American Oil commercials. And one of the guys, the cameraman, said, hey, we got a kid around here who's a janitor, can out-sing all of y'all. So I sat there and used one of their guitars, sang it. They told John about it. And like I say, he's the big brother I never had. And
the rest is history. By the way, Hee Haw was not an easy show to clean up after.
There's a lot of straw.
There's a lot of straw, a lot of hay.
Once again, get out of show business, you know the old guy cleaning up after the elephant.
The new book is called The Man in Song by John Alexander. Wow. Billy Dean, we thank you. And happy birthday.
You snuck up on me. Thank you. God bless. I can't believe you.
All right,
nice cold breakfast.
That's right. 19 minutes now before the top of the hour, and right behind all of us is Jillian Milley with the news.
Will someone please cut into that cake while I'm reading the headlines?
Absolutely, you got
It's been sitting there for minutes. Good morning, happy birthday. The Chicago Police Department is outraged over an article highlighting the life of a suspected cop killer. Shamari Leggett telling Chicago Magazine he isn't accused of murdering police commander Paul Bauer, saying, quote, they're trying to paint this picture of somebody that I'm really not. The Chicago police superintendent responding to the article saying, quote, his killer is a nameless coward who represents everything I stand against. Look at this video. Terrified children jump from a balcony as flames rip through a dance studio. The dramatic escape caught on camera.
Oh my God. Get down, get down, get down, get down, get down, get down. Lay down, lay down.
You can see the girls falling from the second floor, escaping the raging fire in New Jersey. They couldn't reach the ladders and had to jump down to Good Samaritans on the ground. No one was seriously hurt. First, Facebook declared them unsafe to the community, censoring their posts. But now, a change of heart about Diamond and Silk.
What about our freedom of speech and censorship? You are censoring our voices.
Facebook now reconsidering classifying videos by the duo. The company tells Fox News they've spoken to Diamond and Silk, saying, quote, the message they received last week was inaccurate and not reflective of the way we communicate with our community and the people who run pages on our platform. And I have a visitor over here in the headlines area. Thank you very much, Steve. Back to you guys.
All right. Delicious. Good job. I was saying that cake was so fresh last week when we got it. I mean, the icing was white last week. You needed a chainsaw to get through it. But go ahead, dig in, guys.
No.
Thanks a lot. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, the National Guard securing our border right now, and we're getting an exclusive look at our troops in action.
Looks like there's crossing now. Wow. So they just brought whatever they brought over. Now they're going back to get more.
Griff Jenkins takes us along for his ride along at the border, his fly along, I should say.
Plus, Mark Zuckerberg set to be grilled on Capitol Hill this afternoon for hours. What can we expect from his testimony? Jerry Wills tells us what to watch for coming up on this Fox and Friends Larry Gatlin birthday show.
Log on and like us.
I'll give a little bit of my love to you. There's so much that we...
Right now, we've got an exclusive look you'll only see here on Fox and Friends inside military operations with the National Guard at our southern border. Our own Griff Jenkins becoming the first reporter to fly on a joint National Border Patrol mission since President Trump ordered troops to the border.
All right, he joins us now from the border near Laredo, Texas, with more. Hey, Griff.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, right behind me. And just a little news here. Governor Abbott announcing he is now going to raise the number of National Guard troops to more than 1,000 here on the border in the coming days and weeks. But that ride along, it was the first mission of the National Guard working to support the CBP. And within seconds of getting airborne, we were in hot pursuit. Take a look.
All right, baggage cargo. Security.
Got 2992 from Formation Romeo. But we've already got body traffic just south here, so we're going to be going directly to the river.
I mean, it was just a matter of minutes, seconds. We got up in the air, we're already on it.
We're already on it. Possibly a vehicle that's loaded up with either narcotics or just body traffic. We're not too certain.
Right there, black SUV.
That truck pulled into the neighborhood back on the right. You can see that within seconds of we taking off, they crossed and were in 2 vehicles that quick, and we weren't able to get them. So this is why 24-hour surveillance, especially when it comes to air operations, needs to happen.
What is the most stunning thing to see from this perspective is if you look out of this window, this is the Rio Grande River, and you see this road. They tell us that this is one of the most trafficked areas for narcotics because you can see you come across ankle-deep water, and you are right on the road. It looks like there's crossing now. Wow. So they just brought whatever they brought over, now they're going back to get more.
Yep, that's it. Right now it's just a hunt. And they can lay up, they can get under rocks, trees, and they'll wait it out for hours.
You said you've got 171 nautical miles of the river. How much of this is wall?
0 on this ALR, this sector. Things shut down real quick when an aircraft gets here.
Now, guys, less than 5 hours, that exact crew, those same guys seized 5 bundles of narcotics in that very area. 362 pounds of drugs is what they got. And as you heard, not a single inch of a wall in the 171 nautical miles. It's just stunning to see how porous this border is and the relief the National Guard is bringing to the border sector here in Laredo. Tomorrow, I'm going to take to the river later today and bring you tomorrow what it looks like when they coordinate from the sky down to the ground and try and chase some of these bad guys.
Well, Griff, a great job. I mean, what an eye-opener. There you are randomly flying over, and you can see the smugglers right in the water right there.
And nothing's stopping him, Steve. That river is just ankle to waist deep in most parts. It's a very easy cross, one way. The river right behind us, they say they come all kinds of day and night here.
Right. But a wall won't work there, right?
Well, that's not true, actually. The wall could possibly work in some parts of this because as soon as you get a wall, it moves the traffic elsewhere. The Rio Grande River, which is just to our east, that's going to push. When they do the wall there, they're going to build a wall there. It's going to push even heavier traffic here on the river, so they're going to have to do something.
Sure. And the problem is the road is right there. So as soon as they bring the drugs over, boom, it's gone. Griff, good job out there, and we'll look forward to your report later on.
And you're going out on the water today, right, Griff? Did we lose him?
That's correct.
All right.
That's right.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Wherever Griff is.
All right, Mark Zuckerberg is set to be grilled on Capitol Hill today. Jerry Willis is here with what to watch for during his testimony. That's next.
Hello.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to appear before Congress today.
Zuckerberg, in prepared testimony that we've eyeballed, emphasizing that security is a top priority, reading, quote, I want to be clear about what our priority is. Protecting our community is more important than maximizing profits. Well, that's interesting that he would say it now.
Yeah, he wants to prevent future abuses and promises to increase transparency. Jerry Willis is here to look at and preview what is actually at stake for Zuckerberg.
This is a big day.
But he's not a great communicator.
Well, no, that's why they have Sheryl Sandberg. That was her entire job, was to speak to the public. She did it this week. We saw her on Dana Perino. So big question is, can Zuckerberg be as warm and friendly as Sheryl Sandberg? There's a lot at stake in these conversations, and I think every senator is going to want a piece of the action in this. Look, here's what he says he's going to do. He's going to make sure that Cambridge Analytica never happens again, right? He's going to change the way that works so these app developers who had access to your information, if you don't use that app for 3 months, they won't have any access to data, and you'll be able to change how much access these apps have to your personal data.
Jerry, it's interesting that in the prepared testimony that we've seen, he does not mention the fact that while the Trump team was, teamed up with Cambridge Analytica, apparently so did the Obama team back in the day.
Listen, everybody does this.
Right.
I mean, absolutely
and
everybody.
he's not going to mention that.
You know what's really interesting about what he's saying, I think, is he's keeping this to Cambridge Analytica. He's keeping this to Russia. He's making a very small circle around the issues that he wants to talk about. But this has opened up a whole kettle of
What
fish.
about the issue that Republicans are upset about, that he is stifling Republicans' Facebook posts and not allowing as many retweets, or I guess not tweets, but not allowing you to like it?
I think this is a question that'll come up today. You know, he is going to be in this open forum. Anything could go. Any question could be asked. But I think the question that needs to be asked is, okay, you're talking about these apps. You know, that's a small part of your business. What about the advertisers you have? How much information are you giving them? They don't seem to want to talk about that.
Because that's what they're buying. They want the information.
Advertisers who run divisive ads will need authorization now, but what's divisive, back to your point, that'll be interesting.
Well, it's like Diamond and Silk. Look at them. They're saying they're not safe.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
they had to be stopped.
So it's strange in our world for people who are out of Silicon Valley to be making decisions about what we get to read and see. It just seems so odd.
So he's going to start his testimony today at 2, runs till 8. You'll see a lot of it here on the channel. Jerry, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're most
All
welcome.
right, coming up next, in the next couple of hours, we have Rick Scott, Jonathan Turley will be here, and Chuck Grassley. Big show. We're taking attendance. Come back.